Hi there, welcome. Welcome to Homekeepers. Grab yourself a cup of tea, my friend, and look at that gorgeous new cup given to me by one of our I was going to say cameramen, but we have to say camera people. Anyway, Dan Hershey, thank you. It's so beautiful. I've often thought I'd like to have a whole room just to dedicate to teacups. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, thank you so much, and welcome. Welcome. Grab yourself a cup of tea and stay with us. You're going to be glad you did. I have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Colley, and she's a researcher and a blogger, and she trains kids. Maybe she could train me how to ride a horse. Former homeschool mom, and she goes to my son's church in Montgomery, Alabama, Evangel Church. So it's just great to have her here. And when you hear about her blog and the thousands of people who check it out, and more than 1 million have, I think, checked out her YouTube. And the name of her blog is Praying Citizen, and boy, isn't that a good name. And what she does on this, she gives you news, and I'm a news junkie, I kid you not. But she puts things in there that I haven't been aware of. And then what is so good, why it matters. And so this whole idea is brilliant. I'm anxious for you to meet her. And I'm going to join Stephanie. We're going to make a Swiss angel hair pasta. And the Swiss means Swiss cheese with asparagus. The whole thing sounded so good. So we'll see how it turns out. We'll taste it and let you know. Before I join her, though, I have just a few of these turquoise cross bracelets left. They are so pretty with very intricate design, and they are yours if you would like to have one for that gift of at least $20 to the ministry. We'll get it right out to you. I've been wearing it. It goes with everything. And if you use your credit card, it's 1-800-229-0059. Or write to me at Homekeepers, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. And I have decided to make a presentation.
Well, thank you.
Oh, it goes so good with your necklace.
It does. It goes perfect with your necklace.
Yes. Well, I kept thinking Stephanie didn't have one, and that's just not right.
You know why I don't have one? Because
I didn't give you one.
No, not this, but we had one really similar, and we had telethon, and there was a girl I was walking by. She's like, "I love that." So I ripped it off and I gave it to her.
Well,
so thank you.
This is very intricate, and you'd have to see it up close. Yeah. You know what else I was thinking?
Let me get the mushrooms and the chives in butter and going, and then you can talk. Okay.
Okay. Would you start out with a little olive oil or butter?
That was
there?
Butter.
Okay.
And this is mushrooms and fresh chives.
No, what I was going to say is we could do a whole year on pasta, every single program.
Yes.
So it just depends
we are
on
not
what
going to. After I went to the doctor on Friday and had a rude awakening, I'm not even tasting today's meal because I am back off carbs. Because it was a rude awakening.
I asked her this morning. She had a cancer checkup. And I was waiting for the good news, and that is good news, right?
No, it's not good news. I stepped down the scale, and true story, in real life here, I started crying. Is that ridiculous? Ridiculous. It could have been a culmination of things in life. I don't know, but I started crying. It was ridiculous.
Well, she put on a couple pounds.
A couple.
Yeah.
More than a couple.
But we did get a good report on the cancer.
Yes, we did get it.
Thank God.
I'm blaming Homekeepers for my weight issue. No.
Well, we are so glad for your good report.
Thank you. Everything else came out good. That and my blood pressure was up, which probably because I got off the scale and cried. And then I go, this is probably not the best time to take my blood pressure. Really, it was the highest it's ever been in my whole entire life.
Because what you saw on the scale.
I guess because I started crying and. Next time we'll take my blood pressure first.
Okay.
So I have 2 tablespoons of flour I'm going to put in here, and we're going to be able to thicken this up.
Have you ever seen this before?
Yes.
Do you know what? This box represents the angel hair.
The regular pasta comes like that too now.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Because you break it in half anyway, so now they just box it so that you don't have to break it in half.
Break it anyway, so here we go.
Okay, so I got the flour. Let this cook a little bit longer at home, okay? I have some seasoning salt here. And I'm going to pour in 2 1/4 cups of milk. We're going to get this bubbling up.
Well, I love asparagus, and then when I saw it with the Swiss cheese, that has to be a winner.
Oh, so good. And
Has
then
to be a winner.
asparagus we steamed a little bit, so it's softened. I'm going to crank this baby up on high. So we're going to get this bubbling up. It's going to get nice and thick because of that flour. Again, if you would have cooked the flour a little bit longer, it wouldn't have the flour taste. So yeah, this is going to be delicious. Vegetarian.
What
right?
we've called pasta is a canvas, blank canvas,
That
and you do
I
anything you
love. No.
But she's not ever going to eat it again.
Well, that's not true because I'm going to Tennessee this weekend, and my dad will make spaghetti.
He will make spaghetti sauce.
And I will not turn that down. So I will be good. I will be so good until that moment. And then I will be so good after that.
She is the best daughter, I'm
But
telling
Swiss
you.
cheese. This is Swiss
Going
cheese.
there, your dad's birthday?
My dad's birthday. 10 hours door to door. I usually go by
But
myself.
you know what? She's on the road at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would be asleep on the steering wheel just
I
like
miss
that.
all the traffic.
I
So
think that's
all-
great.
yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
So I got this cranked up high. I'm going to put the asparagus in.
But you know, my husband and I were on the evangelistic field for many years, and we would drive all night because we couldn't afford a motel.
Yeah, see, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Well, he would drive, but I didn't trust him, you know, at 4 in the morning. He could sleep and drive pretty good. You know what kept us awake? These funny radio preachers.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yes.
That's funny.
I don't know if
usually-
they're still on the air, but
Yeah, I'm usually doing a concert all by myself in my car to keep
Oh, you're
myself
singing?
awake.
Yeah.
Oh, at the top of my lungs. At 4 or 5, yeah. Okay,
Oh,
this
I'm
needs
telling
to cook a
you.
lot longer, okay?
he used to wake me up and say, "You got to hear this."
This needs to cook so much longer, but I'm going to
Yeah.
give you a little taste because you have a great
Oh,
guest
okay,
to
yeah.
get to.
Yeah.
And you can mix this all together, but right now I'm just going to give you a
Oh,
taste.
this is going to be great. So we're
Oh,
just
look at
giving
that
you
cheese.
a little. It
go.
stretches.
It stretches.
Okay. She's not going to taste it.
No.
Oh boy.
So good. It smells so good in here.
Yeah. No close-ups, please.
And go in. No. Yep, see, that's why we didn't want to close up. So good, right? Oh, it smells
Oh, I can
divine.
say, tell them about the recipe because my mouth's full.
You can get the recipe. Emailing is the easiest, but you can also snail mail. The information will come up on your screen.
This is good. You want it. Stay with me and you'll meet my new best friend, Lori Colley. Got a lot of good information for you.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, you may receive it by contacting us through social media as listed on the screen. When requesting a copy through the mail, be sure to include a self-addressed stamped envelope. Thank you, and please know we always appreciate hearing from our viewers.
Well, I would like for you to meet Lori Colley. I've known her for about 30 minutes, and the kind of gal you think you could talk to all day. Welcome to
Thank
Homekeepers.
you, Arthelene. It's good to be here.
Yes, and congratulations on such a unique ministry. We'll get to that in a second. I just want to talk about your background. 4 children, and you were a homeschool mom. What made you decide to do that?
I had a child that I felt was getting overlooked in school, so I started with her, and then brought the 3 boys home. They were a little bit more of a challenge. And I like to say that I homeschooled 4 kids for 5 years, so that's 20 years of homeschooling.
I don't
I felt
argue with
every
that.
day of it.
I have 5 great-grandchildren being homeschooled, and I couldn't be happier. Not the education they're getting, not only that, but there's so many other components that really make them someone that can grow up and really live in an adult world.
Yes, and I have one son who's getting his PhD in chemistry. So he didn't suffer at all being homeschooled. He did really well. Another son's an engineer working on that. So, yeah, and my daughter works at the Pentagon, so, you know.
You did good, Mama. I remember reading an article many years ago, probably a couple of decades, about this couple homeschooled their kids around the kitchen table, lived on a farm. They all went straight into Harvard. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So, All right, and then what about your interest in horses?
Well, I always loved horses and didn't really start riding till I was 38. And
Really?
I know, and it just, once the bug bites, you know, it's there. So when we were able to, we moved to a farm. We had 55 acres and a bunch of horses, and I taught riding lessons. And yeah, it was great. It was a great season.
I think that's rather remarkable to start at that age and then be a teacher with that kind of a
Yeah.
classroom. Our building here is very, very big, and I'm showing her all the sets, and she thinks it'd make a great place for horses. So
Yes, a great riding arena. Lots of room.
Okay. Good. All right. Tell me about Praying Citizen. I love the name, and the whole idea. When I really read it, it really grabbed me that you're really calling Christians together to pray for this
Yes.
nation.
Yes.
And very specifically, can you tell me, you know, what led you to the idea? It's a very good idea, but it's not real common.
Well, it was 2015. We were coming up on the 2016 election. It was right after Christmas, and I just had this, you know, that burning desire that the Lord puts in your heart to wake people up and to say, you've got to pay attention. People would say, well, you know, I don't follow politics and I don't know. And I thought, this feels like a make or break election to me. So I was working as a media director. I quit my job, which I, you know, still think to myself, how did I do that? But God put it on my heart, and I just began writing. I just began summarizing the news, you know, why it matters, how to pray about it, and some suggestions. Not that I know, you know, I have some great prayers, but just giving people suggestions. And then it went for, well, 3 years. And then I started a YouTube channel right after Christmas this year. And YouTube has, because of the way it works, it has the opportunity to just get it out there. So I went from one person watching a YouTube to now I have 18,500 some subscribers. So yeah, it went
That
took
is
off.
amazing in such a short amount of time. And we're going to put her website up, and I'd like to leave it up for the rest of the program for this reason, that you'll write it down and that you will become one of these. Well, you're getting pretty close to 20,000 now, the last figure I heard. And I just want you to take in what a great idea this is, that she combs the news and gives some specifics. And Praying Citizen kind of speaks for itself, but then she says why it matters. And as I said at the top of the program, I'm a news junkie, but you really highlighted a couple things there that are very serious, and I would assume that most of my audience right now really hadn't heard of it.
Because it's hard to find. It takes me 10 hours some days to just keep looking through, and then there's so much, you know, pulling the things I think are, you know, maybe coalesce around a certain viewpoint or whatever, and then putting it out there. And I have to dig. I have to really dig. You have to look hard to find it.
I think I should thank you, you know, for condensing it down. Now, a couple of stories I saw was one from United Kingdom, a man who has been in prison, and I think there's a lot of this going on that we don't know about.
Well, they don't have free speech in England. And so this man's name is Tommy Robinson, and he speaks out about some of the Sharia stuff that's happening there, and these Muslim men unfortunately raping women, and things not going, not getting the spotlight that they should get. And so he speaks out about it, and it's not allowed. And you know, it's hard for us to imagine that here in this country, because well, to a certain extent, we have free speech.
Yes, when they came up with the hate crime thing, that was that can include speech, actually. I know that it's hard to believe that England, who's kind of our parent, has kind of taken this route. It's not the headlines, of course, but it's going on. But I know one of the talk show host that I've heard from time to time, his name is Michael Savage, he's not allowed in England.
Right.
He's an American that's not allowed in England. Now, another one that you highlighted that I was aware of, and it broke my heart, really, and that's the accepting abortion in Ireland when it had been against the law.
And a lot of that is money that came from George Soros and some other places, because I don't believe the Irish people possibly didn't really even want it, but because so much money came in and there was so much, propaganda and whatever, that, I mean, that is a heartbreaker when you think about it.
Yes, it did break my heart. As you begin to formulate this idea of a praying citizen, and the nice thing is you give them something specific to pray about. And let me remind you, the website is on the screen, and I certainly invite you to join the thousands of people who follow this lady's blog. What kind of feedback do you get from those who view it?
Very positive. There are a lot of Christians who don't really know how to pray. And I've had a couple people tell me that I should use thee and thou in my prayers because that would make them more powerful. But, my comeback to that is Jesus said, call him Abba Father, which means Papa. You're not going to say Papa, thee. So I think there are a lot of people who don't know how to pray and don't really, it just seems so big and so, impossible. But if we just keep praying and keep bringing things before the Lord, that's what he put us here to do. If we're not going to pray, then we deserve the government that we have. We deserve, if we don't have the interest in it, then why should God take interest in it? So yeah, I've had great positive comments about just the research and the amount of looking around that I do and pulling it together and trying to make it easy to follow. So it's been good.
Do you know one of the things that irritates me are the Christians who do not vote? If you don't vote, don't say one word, not one negative word. And that goes from school board all the way to the presidency of the United States. See, the Christians could choose all the leaders if they would vote.
They could.
If they would go out and vote. Have you had any feedback about that? Because I know we need to pray, but he always said watch and pray, work and pray. It's kind of a two-pronged thing.
Well, yes, because people, some Christians say, well, the news is so negative, I don't want to get, I feel like I'm getting slimed watching the news, so I try to keep it very clean and very neutral until I get to the why it matters, and then I try to bring in, this is why you need to care about this. And so I think it did help a lot. Some of the people that were reading the newsletter right before the election, I know that helped them, because I'll get lots of emails from people, well, this is the election here, what, do you have any comments or whatever? So I try to, and it's always from a conservative Christian perspective.
You admit you're a conservative. But the thing that really grabbed me when I went through your material was why it matters. I think sometimes when we hear the news or read the news, I'm really an old lady, I still read the newspaper. And it goes, woo, like that. But when you can arrest it and say, this is the reason it matters. And another thing I think is so important about your blog, and I hope you're getting that website, friends, is that maybe we never thought that praying about it would make much difference. We're so used to praying for our family and this, this, and this. And that bigger picture out there is same God, same power.
Yes, and presenting the stuff that, like you said, you read the newspaper sometimes and it just seems to go over your head. Well, when I began doing it, I wanted people who felt like they were dropped in the middle of a movie. When you start watching the news, you feel like, well, I don't know what's going on. So I try to summarize it and do as much as I can to bring people up to speed for brand new readers so that they'll have an idea. And that's important, and it does feel like that sometimes, because it used to take me about 2 hours a day to do the newsletter, and now it's 10.
Really?
In 3 years, yeah, because there's just so much garbage. I mean, there's so much, I can't look at forget CNN, forget ABC, NBC. I have to go find the alternate sources that'll give the truth.
Well, as you choose these items, I think we forget we serve a powerful God.
Yes.
Who answers prayer.
Yes.
And so we look, and like I said, I'm a news junkie, and I look at this thing, and if I'm not careful, I'll forget that God rules and reigns over all of it.
Well, especially because there is a lot of wickedness, and we keep seeing things happening, and nobody's getting arrested, nobody's behind bars. Just the scandals are incredible. But that's God. He's working behind the scenes. And I remind my readers and my YouTube people that, you know, Daniel prayed for 21 days before he got help. And so we have to just keep on and keep on and keep on.
And that was probably all day long.
And right, and that was fasting and praying, and yeah, so we have to be patient.
I have a time of prayer every morning before I come to the office, and if you're not careful, you can pray, and I pray for every family member and all that, and I believe with all my heart God hears and answers. But sometimes you forget to pray in faith. And that's the thing that moves it.
That is, you know, thanking God, thank you, Father, that the wickedness that's going on in Washington, D.C., you see it, and you're going to put an end to it. And I think, you know, we've watched it for decades. We've seen it, the swamp get swampier. And so, but I totally believe God is going to clean it up.
Now, you go out and speak too, don't you? You speak for certain occasions. Is there any one subject matter that you like to target? I think most speakers kind of have a signature topic.
Well, actually, I haven't spoken on politics. I usually speak on some of the deliverance things, you know. That was just some of the stuff, bitterness or getting rid of fear, you know, some of those strongholds that the enemy has. And yeah, I really enjoy speaking on those
I don't know anything much more important than that for Christians.
Yes, because those places where people get stuck, you know, I have a tremendous healing story. I had some fear issues going on, and they were making me sick with allergies, and I didn't realize the correlation between fear and suppressing your immune system. And when I got delivered of a spirit of fear, the allergies went away, and that was 16 years ago. So
okay, was there any one thing that you were fearful about?
Yes,
You're going to
laugh
tell us
about it. Yes, I was. You know, I prayed. I thought, God is. You know, I'm going to fast and pray till God tells me what I'm afraid of. And I got up the next day, and I was ready to fast all day. And 5 minutes into my fast, this drops in my spirit. You're afraid of your husband. And I was like,
I
what?
met him. He's an awful nice
a wonderful man. Our marriage was upside down, and I was in charge of the finances. And he was Mr. Hey, let's go spend some money. When I met him, he always had $2 in his pocket. You know, that was about it. And I was the one who, you know, I was a saver, so I couldn't understand that. But when he came home from work that day, I said, look, this is what God showed me. We got to fix this. And he said, you're right. So he repented, I repented, we asked God to fix it, and our marriage, I mean, my fears went away, and our marriage improved so much after that. So.
Oh, I think you just really ministered to a lot of ladies out there. Never really intended for the conversation to go that way, but
I mean, that was just, that was tremendous. And then the other parts of like being a mom and being, you know, sharing the raising of children. I had one sister, I didn't know what boys were like, and then I have 3 boys. I don't know how to be a parent to 3 boys. And I would not let him fully take authority over some of the discipline because I was afraid. So when I let that go, things just really turned around for us. So.
Boy, these are basics. And you mentioned bitterness.
Yep.
I think a lot of people don't even know they're bitter.
No, they think they've forgiven. But they've done it up here, but it hasn't really, you know, affected here. Yeah. Bitterness, some of the self-hatred things, not forgiving yourself for all your past mistakes. You know, there's, a lot of that.
I think you're really speaking to people. What kind of, when you've done this, you know, probably in a small group setting, which is best for these kinds of subjects. What kind of feedback have you?
Oh, I had this one woman, and this was just over the phone. She had so many issues going on in her body, physical issues, and we would talk on the phone, and I gave her a set of teachings I had done, and she went through them with her husband, one every night, and she got rid of like 5 diseases: fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, some of her organs. I mean, they were falling, you know, different things going on. That all got fixed. So God just came in a powerful way as she and her husband worked through, you know, some of the stuff together. So, yeah, it's been good. I mean, I love doing that.
I used to speak for a lot of retreats, and the first night I would say, I want this to be the last day you ever have a pity party. And just that one sentence, you can't believe the feedback by the end of the retreat. But we have just a couple minutes. Please notice the website again. If you just joined us, I'm talking to Lori Colley, and she has a blog about praying citizen, one of the most innovative, wonderful tools in the kingdom of God that's really I've seen for a long time.
Thank you.
And I just want people to join you on that. And
I encourage, and the greater, I mean, the newsletter's great, but on YouTube, if they just go to Lori Colley on YouTube, just search my name, and then all the newsletters come up as YouTube videos. And then we do a live prayer at the end, you know, which everybody joins together, and I get a lot of positive feedback on that.
okay, that's Lori Colley on YouTube, and you've had more than a.
Well, I'm almost up to 2 million views now.
I read it was 1.5 million. They didn't even have YouTube when we were born, right? Isn't that wonderful?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Isn't it wonderful?
It is.
And I commend you for using it for the Lord. And no question, His hand is on.
Yes, and the name, I didn't know what to call it, and it just popped in my head. Praying Citizen was like, oh, that's
it. Grabbed me. I'll tell you what grabbed me was Praying Citizen and Why It Matters. Mm-hmm. Those two things really it encapsulates your ministry. So I hope that you will take advantage of that, and I really believe that probably we've given you a lot of food for thought today. We get so busy going through our lives, and we think, well, it's all corrupt out there anyway, but you're still serving a God who's on the throne, and He hears the prayers of His saints, and He hears those that believe. So don't give up. Don't give up at all. Pray for your senators, pray for your congressman, pray for your president, pray for all those who are in authority. The Bible tells us to do that. And join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.